Now, the author uses another way. Let us read verse number 130. Ahankārādi dehantāh vishayāscha sukhādayah vedyante ghatavadyena nityabodhasvarupina. In the previous shloka, Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya tried to explain to us that self is that mere presence, because of whose mere presence everything functions. It doesn't get involved with anything. Now that self, which is mere presence, is also of the nature of consciousness, of the nature of knowledge, K capital, not small k, capital K. What is the difference? Small k knowledge is knowledge of some object which is thought based, which is based on a thought. Capital K knowledge is that consciousness which is not based on any thought. It is a kind of illumination. That's what Shankaracharya explains in this verse. He says, Ahankara Adi. Adi beginning with Ahankara, ego. Deha Antaha, and ending with body. Means what? From ego up to the gross body. Up to the gross body means what? In between you take everything. Starting from Ahankara means what? You take mind, intellect, then Chitta, then all the organs of perception, all the organs of action, all the pranas. And then you come up to body, gross body. So gross body and the subtle body, both the upadhis, vishayaha cha, and also vishayaha objects, the sense objects. So all the upadhis, their objects, and sukha adayah, and all the experiences of joy, etc. All these things vedyante. Yena vedyante. By whom all these things are known. Vedyante plural. Why? Because the subject of the sentence is all these. Ahankaradi dehantaha vishayascha sukhadayah. All these things are known. Yena, by whom. That is the self. See, vedyante ghatavat. Ghatavat means what? Like a pot. Like a pot. Like you know the pot. Like that, the self knows upadhis, their objects, their experiences, everything. How come? How come self can know this? Nitya bodha swarupina. Because it is of the swarupa, it is of the nature of nitya bodha. Nitya bodha, eternal consciousness, eternal knowledge, K capital. Consciousness always C capital, so I don't have to say. But eternal knowledge, K capital. Because the self is of the nature of eternal knowledge. Eternal knowledge means the consciousness that never ceases to exist. The self being of this nature, it knows everything. Now, you see, again when it is said that the self knows everything, please don't think that it is a thought-based knowledge. Like I know watch, I know table, I know light. Not like that. It is of the nature of consciousness. So it knows everything means what? It is witness to everything. Not a thought-based knowledge. It is more like a illumination. A beautiful example is given in the 10th chapter of Panchadashi. Panchadashi is a set of 15 chapters written by Sri Swami Vidyaranya and his Guru Bharati Tirtha, written by both of them. 15 chapters are put together to make this text called Panchadashi. Name itself says 15 chapters. In that, the 10th chapter is called as Nataka Deepa Prakarana. the chapter on Nataka Deepa. Nataka Deepa means, Nataka means drama, theatre, and Deepa means light. So the theatre lamp, the example of theatre lamp is explained. Means what? There is that big light on the stage, on the theatre, right, which illumines all the different actors who are taking roles of different characters, different props used, their expressions, their dance, their singing, everything is illumined by this light. And when all these actors, characters go away, the absence of all of them is also illumined by this light. This light, without changing, illumines everything. In the same way, consciousness, without undergoing any modification, illumines upadhis, their objects, their experiences, everything, their absence also. It is that kind of knowledge that we are talking about, not a thought-based knowledge. So actually, again, how to reflect more on this? When the upadhis are continuously functioning in the world of objects, who am I? I am mere presence, as explained in the previous verse, but I am the one illumining, knowing all these things. Not as a thought-based knowledge, but as consciousness. What it also means is, since the self knows the upadhis, the objects, the experiences, etc., all the upadhis, all the objects, all the experiences are inert. Why? Because they are known. Whatever is known, whatever is seen is inert. Yad drishyam tad jadam. Remember, we had seen this earlier. Yad drishyam tad jadam. Yad jadam tannashwaram. Yannashwaram tad mithya. Yad mithya tad asat. We had seen this complete thought flow. That which is seen is inert. Since the self sees or knows upadhis, their objects, their experiences, all of them are inert. Ahankara is also inert. Ahankaradi dehantaha is said. Starting from ego up to the body, everything is inert. There is only one consciousness, and that is of the self. That is me. Other than me, everything is inert. Okay? So all these upadhis, their objects, their experiences are known by this self. It is the consciousness, the illuminator of all. Right? Let us see now next one that Shankaracharya says. Verse number 131. Eshontaraatma purushah puranaha निरन्तराखण्ड सुखानुभूतिः सदैकरूपः प्रतिबोधमात्रः येनेषितावागसवश्चरन्ति एषः this antaratma, this is the inner self. What we are talking about, so actually if you see all the previous 5 verses, the self is not mentioned. See carefully, see. Yaha vijanati. Yaha pashyati, yam na pashyati, yash chetayati, na tat yam chetayati, yena vyaptam, yam vyapnoti, yam bhantam, yasya sannidhi matrena. Isn't it? Yena vedyante. Now that all kinds of pronouns that conclude here when it is said, Eshaha antaratma. This is the inner self. Means what? The one that knows everything, illumines everything, but is not illumined by anything. The one in whose presence everything happens. The one that pervades everything, but nothing pervades it. That which knows everything, the upadhis, the objects and their experiences. That is this inner self. Eshaha, this. Esha is the pronoun used for showing the proximity. Saha, that. Eshah, this. It is not somewhere else, somewhere far. It is close. Not just closer to you, it is you. Antaratma, it is your innermost self. It is the core of you. Eshah Antaratma. That is which is called as Purushaha. Eshontaratma Purushah Puranaha Nirantara Akhanda Sukha Anubhutihi. It is of the nature of Anubhuti, experience. Experience of what? Sukha. Experience of bliss. Here doesn't mean joy. Why? Akhanda Sukha. Khanda means breaking. Khanda means breaks, parts. Akhanda means unbroken, undivided bliss. How? Nirantara, constant. It is of the nature of experience of constant, undivided bliss. Our sukha that we experience through the mind is khandita sukha, is broken joy. Why? Because that joy is broken by the next experience of sorrow. And therefore it is not nirantara, it is not constant. Sometimes happy, sometimes sad. But the self is not like that. It is of the nature of that experience of infinite bliss, permanent happiness, constant, undivided bliss. That is the nature of the self. Nirantara khanda sukhanubhutihi sada ekarupaha. Sadaika rupaha. Sadaika rupaha means what? Sada. Sada means always. Eka rupaha. Eka rupaha means it is same. It is of the same form. It does not change. The body changes. The mind changes. The pranas change. The intellect changes. Even the vasanas change. But the self does not change. It is of same nature. Changeless. Pratibodha matraha. Matraha means, here matra means it is as though. As though it is pratibodha. Pratibodha is a concept which comes from Kenopanishad. In Kenopanishad, when the student asked about what is the nature of this self, the Guru answers it as pratibodha viditam. The self is that which is known through every thought. What we had seen earlier as aham pratyaya lambanaha. It is the substratum of the I thought. So through each and every thought, you can know the self. Prati means through every. And bodha means thought. So pratibodha matraha is that which is known through every thought. Means what? It is the substratum of the thought. It is the witness of the thought. So through every thought, you can know the self. So you are sitting for meditation. Suddenly one thought came. What is the thought? Did I switch off the light? Now hold on to that thought. Don't think whether you switched off the light or not. Think, who is that I who is asking this question, did I switch off the light? Okay. Did I means it is aham vritti. Okay, this is ahankara, ego. Who is the substratum of that ego? That I thought is based on what? That is the self. So you see, any thought that appears in our mind, through that thought we can reach the self. That thought becomes a window for us to see the self. Pratibodha matra. Carefully see. Every single thought, any thought you pick up. You remember a song. It happens. When you are meditating, all kinds of things happen. The song that you have not sang or heard for years together, you will remember in meditation. Now ask the question, who is remembering this song? I. Who is this I? The I thought. Who is the substratum of this I thought? The self. So through every thought, you can reach to the substratum self. Pratibodha matraha, that which is known, which can be known through every single thought. Yena, by whom, Ishita ruled, controlled, governed by whom, Vak means speech. Asavaha means, asu means prana, asavaha plural, pranas. Charanti, they function. Ruled or governed by whom? Vak is upalakshana for all the karmendriyas, and pranas, also another faculty that acts. All of them charanti, they act. Ruled by whom? By this. Esha antaratma. This is the self. Ruled by whom? The speech and the pranas act. Ruled by whom? Governed by whom? Means what? Again, don't immediately imagine that ruled means okay, he is calling all the come, all the organs of action and pranas come. Let me tell you, today your job is this, your job is no. Yasya sannidhi matrena, in whose mere presence all of them are doing their functions. It's not that he is taking some meeting and giving them tasks and then taking their updates. Not that kind of Isha, not that kind of ruler he is. He is just there in his mere presence. Everything is happening. That is the self. Eshontaratma Purushaha Puranaha Nirantarakhanda Sukhanubhuti Sadaika Rupaha Pratibodha Matraha Yena Ishita Vak Asavaha Charanti. Now carefully, if we see here, words like Purana, Sada Eka Rupa, they indicate Sat aspect of the self. Sat aspect, Sat existence. Why? Because Purana is eternal. That which is ancient yet new. Means what? That which is always there. Sat, existence. Terms like Pratibodha Matra, etc. They explain, they indicate Chit aspect, consciousness aspect. And Nirantara Khanda Sukhanubhuti, of course, explains Ananda aspect. You can also look at it from other angle and say that Pratibodha Matra is Tatastha Lakshana. Through the thought, the self is pointed out. Yene Shita Vagasavascharanti is Tatastha Lakshana. Through the senses, through the speech and the pranas, the self is pointed out, who is the ruler of these senses and pranas. You can understand it in different ways, but that is how the self is. Right? Bhagavan Shankaracharya continues, where is this self? What kind of question is this? Where is this self? The self is everywhere. No? Correct. That is true. But if self is everywhere, where to find? If it is everywhere, you can find it anywhere. But tell us one place, no, where I can find. Next verse number 132. Atraiva sattvatmanidhi guhayam avyakritakasha ushat prakashah akasha uchchairavivat prakashate Swatejasa Vishwamidam Prakashayan. Atraiva. Why are you asking the question where to find the self? Where should I go? Atraiva, here itself. Here itself means Atraiva Sattva Atmani. In Sattvic mind, here Atma means mind. Sattva Atmani, Atmani means in the mind. In the mind which is Sattvic, which is pure, which is calm. Here itself in the pure and calm mind, dhi guhayam, in the cave of the intellect, dhi buddhi, intellect, guha, cave, guhayam, in the cave, saptami vibhakti. Here itself in the pure, calm mind, in the cave of the intellect, avyakrita akashe, there is a there. Avyakrita akashe ushat prakasha. But because the next word starts with u, therefore that ekara is dropped. Therefore it is written as avyakrita akasha ushat prakasha. So avyakrita akashe. Akashe means in the space. Avyakrita. Avyakrita, in an unmanifest space. Unmanifest. That which has not become manifest, that which has not come to experience. Avyakrita akashe, in an unmanifest space, or in the space of the unmanifest. Avyakrita akashe, in the space that is of unmanifest, or in the unmanifest space. Ushat prakasha. Ushat prakasha means it is of brilliant, captivating splendor is this self. So the self that I have been trying to understand, I have been trying to explain, Shankaracharya is trying to explain, is not to be searched somewhere else. We have to turn within and experience the self in us. It is not present somewhere where I have to reach and experience it. It is present in our own core. But for that experience, what is required? Sattva Atman. The mind should be sattvic. Mind should be pure. Mind should be calm. We should be able to give up everything of the world and completely turn within. Then in that space which is of unmanifest, where there is nothing, there we can experience the self. Question. What? It is inside. And it is also said cave of intellect. There will be a lot of darkness, no? Ushat prakasha. The self is of the nature of consciousness. So when you reach there, you don't have to be told, you see this is consciousness. No, not required. Nobody needs to tell you that now you have reached. You will know that you have reached. Why? Ushat prakasha. It is self-luminous. It shows itself to you. You don't have to search for it when you reach there. Ushat prakasha. Beautiful. You see how Shankaracharya is using these words. It's unimaginable. He is explaining all these things. This is very, very, very extremely subtle, which is beyond mind and intellect, something that we cannot even explain, nor can we understand, nor can we imagine. But through these simple pointers, he is trying to show us what this self is. Sattvatmani dhi guhayam avyakrita akashe ushat prakasha. That is the self. Now that self, Ravivat, like the sun, akashe uchchaihi prakashate. Again there you see akashe uchchaihi in the second line. Just like here avyakrita akashe ushat prakasha was there, that A was dropped because of sandhi. Similarly here also akashe, in the sky. Now here we are not talking about the space of in the heart. We are talking about akashe uchchaihi. Uchchaihi akashe, high in the sky. High in the sky, what is there? Ravivat, like the sun, prakashate, like the sun shines high in the sky, the self shines inside our heart space. So in the physical space or physical sky, the sun is shining. In the space of the heart, the self is shining. Both are similar. Why? Because both are self-luminous. What is the difference? The sun has Jada Prakasha, self has Chaitanya Prakasha. That way they are different, but both have similar quality of self-luminous. And not only they shine, but what happens? Swatejasa, by its own light, it shines by its own light, but by its own light, Vishwamidam Prakashayan, the sun also illumines the entire world. Vishwamidam, this world. So, Uchchaihi Akashe Ravivat Prakashate. It shines high in the sky like the sun, but by its own light, Swatejasa, Idam Vishwam Prakashayan, it also illumines the entire world in the same way. This is example, Ravivat, like the sun. Like that, the self shines in the space of the heart by its own light, but it also illumines body, senses, pranas, mind, intellect, everything. Not only the upadhis, but even the outer world, even the sun is finally illumined by this self, this consciousness. That is me. We don't have to go anywhere. We just have to turn inward, purify our mind, and we will be able to experience the self in our own heart. Okay, that is the self. Now let us go further. Verse number 133. Please repeat. Jnata manoham kriti vikriyanam dehendriya prana krita kriyanam ayognivattan anuvartamanaha na cheshtate no vikaroti kinchana. Who is this self? Jnata is the knower. Knower? Knower of what? Manaha ahankriti vikriyanam. Of the vikriya. Vikriya means modifications. Modifications of mana. Mana means mind, and ahankriti. Ahankara, ego. See, he should have said mano buddhi. Why? What is this combination of manas and ahankara? Earlier we had seen that the mind or the inner equipment is twofold. Idam vritti and aham vritti. Remember? Idam vritti, this thought. Thought of the objects. Aham vritti, I thought. So by manas, he is referring to all kinds of modifications of idam vritti. And by ahankara, he is taking all modifications of aham vritti. Modifications of aham vritti means what? Sometimes I am the listener, sometimes I am the speaker, sometimes I am knower, doer, enjoyer, isn't it? So this ahankara also is modifying. With what? With the modifications in the mind. According to the modifications of the mind, ahankara is also undergoing modifications. Who is the self? Neither the mind nor the ahankara, but jnata, knower of mind and ego and their modifications. Careful. Is the knower. Now again, when it is said knower, don't think that it is some kind of knowledge based on thought again. No. It is knower with K capital. Means what? It illumines. It's not a kind of knower like the mind is the knower. Mind knows this is watch. It is not a thought based knowledge. He illumines the mind, the ego, the entire inner equipment and their modifications. Is that it? That's it? No. Deha, Indriya, Prana, Krita, Kriyanam is also the one who is illumining Kriya. Kriya means functions. See, Vikriya and Kriya. How Shankaracharya is using the words also you see. Vikriya means modifications. Kriya means functions. So, Deha, body, Indriya, senses, Prana, pranas, vital air, Krita, Kriyanam, actions performed by all these. So, modifications of the inner equipment also are known to the self, and the functions of body, senses and the pranas is also known to the self. Tesham api jnata, he is the knower of even those. So, he is the knower of modifications of mind and ego, and he is also the knower of actions performed by body, senses, pranas, etc. That is what is the self. Now, when it is said it is the knower, what actually Shankaracharya wants to point out to us? All the things that we have seen earlier. Is the knower means what? Number one, it is different from the upadhis. The knower has to be different from the known. Number two, upadhis are inert. The knower is sentient. Isn't it? Yadrishyam tajjadam. That which is seen, that which is known is inert. And the knower is sentient. So it has to be different from the upadhis. Number three, it is that which illumines or lends its existence or sentiency to the upadhis, because of which upadhis are existing and functioning. Number three. Number four, even the capacity that the upadhis have got to undergo their respective modifications or respective functions, even that capacity comes from the self. The self also, so to say, energizes the upadhis. Fourth point. In and through all this, the fifth point is, it remains an uninvolved witness. When it is said that the self is jnata, all these points need to be understood. It is different from the upadhis. It is a sentience that sees or knows the inert upadhis. Isn't it? Very important factor. It lends its sentiency for upadhis to exist and function. It also gives capacity to each upadhi to carry out their modification or function. And number five, in and through all these things, it still remains an uninvolved witness. That is me. That is me. Jnata manoham kriti vikriyanam dehendriya pranakrita kriyanam. But how does I appear? Shankaracharya says, ayognivat. Beautiful example. Ayognivat. Ayognivat means like. Like what? Ayah agni. Ayah means iron. Ayas. Shabda. Ayah means iron. Agni means fire. Earlier also we had seen this example like the fireball. Iron ball which is having fire with it. You remember we had seen that they transfer the properties to each other. Anyonya adhyasa. The red hot iron ball, when we say the iron ball which has got weight, which has got what we say particular shape, comes in contact with the fire which has got heat and color. The iron ball is cool, doesn't have red color. The fire doesn't have weight, fire doesn't have form. You must have seen fire, it keeps changing its form. But when these two come in contact, the red hot iron ball which is now you see is having its own properties and has taken some properties of the fire. At the same time has given some properties to the fire. So the mutual giving, taking of properties has happened. Mutual superimposition has happened. Now here, ayognivat, what is ayas, what is agni here? Ayas is that inert, and therefore the body, the senses, the prana, the mind, the intellect, the ego is like that iron ball. And agni, sentient thing, is that consciousness. As though both have become one. Ayognivattan anuvartamanaha. Becoming one with these upadhis, I anuvartamana. I go behind them. I go behind them means when the mind through the senses goes out into the world of objects, I also, so to say, go out in the world of objects. It appears like that. There is one that is my true nature, which is that of that pure consciousness. But another jiva, as jiva, I appear to be doing all these things. See, even right now you are listening to the class. Who are you? Are you the Atma or are you jiva? Wait, let me think. I am Atma, but right now, as jiva, I am perceiving, I am listening, I am seeing, I am thinking. As jiva, anuvartamanaha. I appear to be going out, following them. Following what? Following the modifications of the mind, inner equipment, and the functions of the outer equipment. But actually, what is that? Na cheshtate. I do not act, or it doesn't act. Na vikaroti kinchana, and does not undergo any modification. So, though it appears to be with the mind when the mind is going through modifications, though it appears to be with the body, senses, pranas, etc., when they are carrying out functions, the self neither undergoes any modification nor performs any action. Two things were said in the first line, that manaha ahankriti vikriyanam jnata is the knower of modifications of the inner equipment. And second thing, dehendriya pranakrita kriyanam is also the knower of actions performed by the outer instruments. Now here, both things are said. Na cheshtate, the self does not act. Na vikaroti kinchana, nor does it undergo any modification. Please don't get confused. The moment we think that I am undergoing modification, we are referring to jiva and not to the self. Because self cannot undergo any modification. We may use the word I, but we mean different I at different times. When I say I am listening, I am performing the action of listening. Who is this I? It is the jiva. When I say I am sad, I am happy, I am confused, which I are we talking about? Jiva. But when I say I am none of the upadhis, I am of the nature of Satchidananda, which I are we talking about? We are talking about our true nature, true I. Okay? It appears that I am going through modifications and I am performing actions. But that I which is going through modifications and which is performing actions is the small I, is the jiva, is our present understanding of ourselves. Whereas, who am I actually? I am that capital I which does not undergo any modification, does not perform any action. From this known small I, we have to shift our understanding to the capital I. Understanding, experience. How strong is our experience that I am jiva? So much strong our experience has to be that I am that self. Then the job is complete. Okay? Now, keeping that same thought in the next verse, very famous, taken from very famous source, Shankaracharya says, there are certain things that the jiva undergoes. And therefore, we think that I am undergoing all those changes, but the self does not undergo any of it. Let us see. Verse number 134. न जायते नो म्रियते न वर्धते न क्षीयते नो विकरोति नित्यः विलीयमानेऽपि वपुष्यमुष्मिन् न लीयते कुम्भ इवाम्बरं स्वयम्. I'm sure you will be remembering, if you have studied Kathopanishad, you will remember the Kathopanishad mantra. If you have studied Bhagavad Gita, you will remember Bhagavad Gita shloka, which also starts Najayate, Mriyate va. In one place it is Kadachit, Vipaschit in another place. Some small changes are there, but the verse is well known. Najayate, Mriyate va Kadachit. Nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah. Ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana. Na hanyate hanyamane sharir. Bhagavad Gita. Kathopanishad says, Na jayate mriyate va vipaschit, nayam kutaschinna babhuva kaschit, ajo nitya shashvatoyam purana, na hanyate hanyamane sharir. Last two lines are same. What is it saying? Na jayate. Kaha na jayate? Who is not born? Eshaha antaratma. See, the topic is still going on of that self, inner self, isn't it? Na jayate. It is not born. Who is not born? I am not born. Vedji? Wrong. Why? I am born. And my mother doesn't miss one chance to tell me how difficult I was when I was born. Every single time she reminds. How can you say I am not born? Again, you see, don't get confused. Who is born? The body came out from mother's body. The jiva thought that now I am born. When it is said na jayate, what are we referring to? We are referring to our true nature. That big I, the self, is never born. The contradiction has to be resolved. Why? How the contradiction is to be resolved? By understanding the correct standpoint. When it is said that I am born, I am referring to jiva, who thinks when the body is born, it is born. But when it is said na jayate, it is not born, I am referring to that big I, the real I, which is not born. Na jayate, na umriyate. No mriyate means not at all am I going to die. Mriyate means it does not die. Na umriyate, it shall never die. Who? The self. Now, interestingly, you see, actually the jiva is also not born and jiva also doesn't die. Jiva is just changing the body. So when jiva gives up the old body, that is what jiva thinks that it is dead. And when jiva takes up the new body, jiva thinks that it is born. Actually, jiva also is not born. Jiva is one of the anadis, isn't it? Among the 6 anadis, one of them was jiva. We had seen that verse from Panchadashi. Jiva is one of that. It is also not born, but it thinks that it is born. It thinks that it is going to die. And obviously, when the two extreme modifications are there, in between modifications will also be there. If you are born, then the rest of the modifications will follow. 6 modifications of gross body. Remember? Jayate, asti, vardate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati. It is born, then it exists, then it grows, then it matures, then it starts to what we say, viparinamate. It starts to disintegrate, and finally vinashyati, it gets destroyed. Now that is what is. When the body is growing, I feel I am growing. Now here, the scripture says, na vardate, it does not grow. But I grew. You see my photo here, this small baby, cute little thing. And you see now what has happened to this small baby. The growth. The body has grown. Not just body, okay? My intelligence also has grown. It's good that you think that your intelligence has grown. I don't have any problem with that. But you have not grown. Why? Because you are incapable of growth. So, Swamiji, what is this? I am not saying your intelligence is incapable of growth or your mind is incapable. I am saying you cannot grow. Why? Because you see, you can grow means you have to be small and then growth is possible. No, you are already all pervasive. Where will you grow? You will grow into what? You are already everything. Na vardate, it does not grow. Na vikaroti, it does not change at all. So rest of the things also you say. Asti, viparinamate, apakshiyate, you take everything. It does not undergo any modifications. So all the 6 modifications which are there for gross body, and identifying with that gross body, Jiva feels that I am going through these 6 modifications, that I am born, now I am there, I am growing, now I am maturing, now I am going to, decay, and now I am going to die. Self does not undergo any of these modifications. Why? Nityaha. One reason given for all. Na jayate, no mriyate, na vardhate, no kshiyate. Kshiyate also is there in between. Kshiyate is that decay. I don't decay. Na uvikarotya, I don't undergo any modification. Why? The reason is nityaha. It is eternal. Eternal, we had seen 2 types of nitya, pravahi nitya, kutastha nitya. We have seen all that. It is unchanging, eternal. It does not undergo any change. Not only that, viliyamane api amushmin vapushi naliyate. Amushmin, in this. Vapushi, in this body. Vapushi means in the body. Amushmin means in this. So, amushmin vapushi, in this body. Which is how viliyamane. In this, which is going to end. Which is going to be dissolved. Which is going to get destroyed. In this body, which is going to get destroyed, naliyate, it does not get destroyed. 2 ways we can understand this. Earlier also we had seen this. One is through Saptami, normal. Staying in the body which is getting destroyed, it does not get destroyed. Or through Sati Saptami. Sati Saptami is when that Saptami Vibhakti is used to indicate the time. When the body is destroyed, the self is not destroyed. Careful. 2 interpretations. One is staying in the body which is getting destroyed, the self is not destroyed. Another showing time. When the body is destroyed, when this body is getting destroyed, the self is not getting destroyed. Viliyamane api amushmin vapushi naliyate. It does not get destroyed. Like what? Kumbhe ambaram iva. Like kumbhe, in the pot. Ambaram, space. Eva like the space in the pot. Like the space in the pot means what? Space remains inside the pot. When the pot is made, you think that the space is made. Thankfully, pot does not grow. But pot goes through different modifications, isn't it? And at the end, pot is destroyed. When the pot is destroyed, we feel that the space is destroyed. But actually, space is space. It is neither born nor does it get destroyed. Staying in the pot, when the pot is destroyed, the space does not get destroyed. In the same way, in the body which is getting destroyed, the self doesn't get destroyed. Or when the body is destroyed, the self is not destroyed. Swayam. Shankaracharya adds one more word. Why? Because it is of the nature of consciousness. It cannot be destroyed. See how he is using the word Nitya and Swayam. That was the first description. Asti kaschit Swayam Nityam. Aham pratyaya lambana. Remember? 125. He is carrying that thought, but just elaborating some more aspects. Okay. So the self does not undergo any of the 6 modifications. The self is not like Jiva, which thinks that it is going through modifications just when the body is going through modifications. Why? Because it is eternal. And even when the body is destroyed, the self is not destroyed. It is the same knowledge that Bhagavan Shri Krishna gives to Arjuna. Because Arjuna is thinking that I am going to kill Bhishmacharya, I am going to kill Dronacharya, I am going to kill. Shri Krishna says, you cannot kill them. Why? Because they cannot be killed. Even when the body is destroyed, the self is not destroyed. You are that self, they are that self. Who is going to kill whom? Hanta chen manyate hantum, hataschen manyate hatam, ubhau tau na vijanitah, nayam hanti na hanyate. Again, mantra from Kathopanishad, which is also taken in Bhagavad Gita. One who thinks that I am the killer, another who thinks that I am killed, both of them do not know. Why? The self neither kills nor does it get killed. Why? Self is incapable of that. Self will kill whom? There is nothing other than self. It cannot kill anything. Can it be killed? No, because who will kill self? How will self be killed? Now you see, this knowledge, if it has to come in our life, suddenly will our life will become so easy. You see, we are carrying all the time this burden that I am going to die, that fear is there. That fear will not be there. Why? Because I cannot die. I am incapable of death. Can you understand that? Why? Because death means end of existence. Isn't it? Can I stop to exist? Can I cease to exist? No. Why? Because I am existence, not existent. If I am existent at some point of time, I will become non-existent. But I am existence. How can I stop existing? Suddenly our life will become very, very simple. Somebody says, yes, I cannot die. I cannot cease to exist. So I will destroy everything. You will destroy whom? What foolish thing you are talking? You are just being given knowledge of Brahman and you are getting confused with Dharma. That doesn't mean you will become reckless, but actually you will become sensitive. Why? Because I am the self in all. And I cannot die. Now here if you see, na jayate, na umriyate, na vardhate, na kshiyate. Na is said. This is called as atadvyavritti. That's why I introduced that atadvyavritti lakshana. This is to say that I don't have 6 modifications. Means what? I am not the cross body which has 6 modifications. The body will go through all these. I am not the body. Veji, what to tell Veji nowadays? Very difficult. Old age is like, eating me. It is eating whom? Body. Let it eat. See, our Mahatmas were so great. Santa and saint literature, if we see, they say that death is Utsava. Death is the festival. I'm not sure about other places, but in Maharashtra, in many of the villages, that Antayatra, the last rites and the last that procession when the body is taken to the cremation ground is with the band. The band etc. which you call for marriage, actually bigger band is called for death ceremony. Why? Because they say that is a moment of rejoice. Why? Because the saints used to say that the body is dying, आम्ही आनंदे नाचू गाऊ. There is one very beautiful bhajan. काळ देहासी आला खाऊ, आम्ही आनंदे नाचू गाऊ. When the time comes to eat the body, let it come and eat the body. What are we doing? We are enjoying. Why? Because I don't have death. So when it comes, see, it is exactly like when we and somebody also with us, we are going, and the police comes and blows his whistle. So immediately both look at police, and police does not catch us but catches our neighbor. How we become happy? Exactly like that. The time has come to eat away, but it is only eating body. It cannot even touch me. Imagine how much happy I will be. So let the time come. Let the death come. Let it eat away my body. It does not matter. Why? I am rejoicing in the self. What makes Mahatmas fearless? This knowledge makes them fearless. When I understand that I am the self, I will be afraid of what? Of whom? It's me. Nothing I will be afraid of. Right? That is who I am. Staying in the body which is perishable, I remain imperishable. Even when the body is perishing, I still remain imperishable. That Swayam Nityam, that is me. Now, in this series of verses, we come to the conclusion, we come to the last verse. And here Shankaracharya says, "Oh my dear student, now that you have listened to who you are, Shankaracharya as the Guru is blessing us. May you realize this real nature that you are, not you have, you are of this nature. May you realize it." Let us read verse number 136. Niyamitamanasāmum tvam swamatmanamaatmani ayamaham sakshad viddhi buddhi prasadat janimarana taranga para samsara sindhum pratara bhava kritartho brahma rupena samstha. Shankaracharya says, Niyamita manasa, with the mind which is niyamita, controlled, regulated, governed, with the controlled mind, amum, this swam atmanam, one's own self, atmani, in the self, tvam ayamaham iti sakshat viddhi. Look at the words. He is saying, with the regulated mind, you realize one's own self in the self as the self. See, amum swam atmanam viddhi. You come to know one's own self. How? Tvam viddhi. You come to know. You yourself come to know. Where? Atmani, in the self. As what? Ayamahamiti sakshat viddhi. So know your own self in the self as the self. How? Buddhi prasadat. As says, by the prasada of buddhi, by the blessing of your intellect. One meaning. Prasada also means purification. By the purification of your intellect, or by the grace of your intellect, it is called as Atma Prasada, the grace of the self. Different kinds of grace are spoken of, no? Ishvara Kripa, Guru Kripa, Atma Kripa also is there. What is this Atma Kripa, etc.? Two things Shankaracharya is saying. Know the self, in the self, as the self, by the self. But how? Through purified mind and focused, controlled mind. See, niyamita manasa buddhi prasada. through Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Ekagrata. See, we are going to come back to the main point only. Don't think that we are going to realize without purifying our mind. That is impossible. It's not going to happen without that. How much ever we may postpone that thing, saying that no, now I am studying Vivekachudamani, that is okay. Finally, it will come down to the same thing. You have to purify your mind, focus your mind, then with that alone you will be able to realize. Vidhi, you come to know. And then what? Jani, Marana, Taranga, Apara, Samsara, Sindhum, Pratara. Pratara is a verb here. Pratara means crossover. Crossover what? Sindhum. Sindhum ocean. Which ocean are we talking about? Samsara Sindhum. Samsara Sindhum, the ocean of transmigration. Ocean of transmigration, the realm of transmigration. How is this Samsara Sindhu? Apara. See, the Taranga Apara is there, no? Can be separated out in two ways. Apara means which is very shoreless. Apara, the one that doesn't have para. Or you can say apara, which is very far. The shore is very far. But you cross over that. And is it easy to cross over? No. Why? Taranga. Because there are waves in that ocean. What are those waves? Jani Marana, birth and death. So this ocean of samsara, which is very difficult, shoreless, and which has got these waves of birth and death, pratara, you cross over. Know the self in the self as the self through Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Ekagrata, and cross over this shoreless ocean of samsara which has got waves of birth and death. How should I do that? Kritartha. One more thing he says. One more. What? Kritartha bhava. Become kritartha. Krita artha. Become kritartha means become content. Means whatever was to be done, it is done. That is called as kritartha. Krita kritya. That is another word for kritartha. Whatever was supposed to be done is done. Means what? The purpose of human life is attained. What is that? Brahma Rupena Samstaha. Be established as Brahman. So in a way, Shankaracharya is showing us the path. That now that you have understood what is your true nature, come to realize that true nature, cross over the samsara, become content, be established in Brahman. In a way, he is showing the path. In a way, he is blessing us. Oh, my dear student, you have come up to this verse in Vivekachudamani. May this idiot fool be liberated. Guru is not saying idiot fool, but we know what we are. Yes, he is saying, come to know the self, realize the self, be established in the self, cross over the samsara. Second way to understand. Third way to understand. Shankaracharya is saying, now that I have told you all these things, you better do this. Give up all the other priorities and keep this as your first priority. Anything that you do in life, this should be the first priority. Everything for this. You may continue to work for your family. You may continue to work for your society, community, nation, for anything. Everything should be for Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Ekagrata and for gaining this knowledge. That's it. Full stop. No concept of half-half. For some time spirituality, for some time. No. Everything has to become spiritual. Every single action of ours, whether I am talking, whether I am listening, whether I am walking, whether I am sitting, whether I am sleeping, whether I am eating, whether I am taking bath, everything is for Chitta Shuddhi or Chitta Ekagrata or gaining knowledge. Full stop. Through any path. You decide. To the path of karma you want to go, you go. To the path of bhakti, devotion you want to go, you go. To the path of knowledge you want to go, you go. Come to this realization. When we listen to this samsara, which is apara, etc., there is one very beautiful interpretation that I have read, which is of course given by Shankaracharya himself. He has written Pandurangashtakam. He has written 8 verses on Bhagavan Panduranga Vithala. And you must have seen Vitthala's Murti, no? Vithala is keeping his hand on his vest. So Shankaracharya is saying, do you know why Vithala is keeping the hand on his vest? Because of the story goes that he is waiting for his bhakta to come. That Pundalika is doing seva of his parents, and therefore he tells Bhagavan, please wait, let me finish this and come. So Bhagavan is waiting. Shankaracharya says that is one reason. Second reason I will tell you, Vithala is telling us, don't worry about samsara, the water is only up to the waist. It's not going to take you. It's not going to take you inside. Only this much water is there, you come. So the samsara may be apara, but we can cross over. When such Guru is there, when such Lord is there with us, why should we worry? By Bhagavan's name, a bridge is created. Ramayana story we hear between India and Lanka, that bridge is created with Bhagavan's name. Once that bridge is created, even an ant can cross over the ocean. Create that bridge by chanting his name. One way, bhakti way. Or you continue to perform your karma with that attitude of surrender and keep doing chitta shuddhi chitte. Or you follow jnana yoga and go on doing shravana manana nidhyasana. Whichever way you want to go, you go. But come to know the self in the self as the self. That's what Shankaracharya says. Okay. Thus we conclude one more section of this Vivekachudamani. Now the next question. So Shankaracharya has answered some questions. Now bandha, some questions are remaining. So what is this bondage? And from where has this come? Ko nama bandha kathamesha agataha. These 2 questions will be taken now. Ko nama bandha in next 2 verses, 137, 138. Kathamesha agata, from where this bondage has come? From verses 139 to 144. So in next 8 verses, these 2 questions will be answered, which we will see in the next classes. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.